Today's guest is Rob Ingram, better known as McDojoLife. He's one of the most recognizable voices in martial arts, known for exposing frauds, promoting accountability, and helping make martial arts safer through Academy Safe. In this episode, we go beyond the headlines to talk about Rob, his martial arts journey, and the challenges that come with his platform, and the impact he's making through the martial arts community. Let's get into it. Rob, thanks for taking time to join us today.
Dude, thank you for having me. I love talking shop.
Awesome. So I've been following you for a long time. The work you're doing for the community is amazing.
I'm glad somebody sees it. You'd be surprised how many people are like, that guy sucks. Hate that guy.
So a lot of the questions I'm sure you've answered 1,000 times, but for new listeners, what got you into martial arts?
Getting my ass beat. I was born with a cleft lip and palate, technically a bilateral for anybody who wants to research that. But I was getting picked on and teased in school. One day in middle school, I was 11 years old. I was getting picked on in a gym class, and the kids told me that they were gonna jump me as soon as the class was over. And they were honest. They definitely did that. They beat the hell out of me. They beat me for 5 minutes straight. The reason I know it was 5 minutes straight was because they beat me from bell to bell. So the bell rang for us to go to the next class, and then I'm still laying, getting stomped on in the face. When the next bell rang, I even got stabbed with a pencil, which is still technically scarred my finger. Somebody tried to stab me in the face with a pencil, so I blocked it and it hit me in the damn hand, which, by the way, don't recommend getting stabbed. Really sucks if you haven't had that joy. So then I'm laying there bleeding. 2 teachers watched the entire thing, did nothing about it, which really sucks because you're laying there and I don't know if you've ever had to look through blood, but blood gets in your eye and it becomes very murky. So I'm laying there watching that shit, and I'm just like, well, this sucks. Luckily, adrenaline helps, so you kind of become numb after a while. And I'm laying there, the next bell rang, all the kids scattered who were beating on me. And then a pudgy figure was walking towards me because I'm blind as hell, so I couldn't really see. And it was my only true friend in middle school at the time. And which, by the way, we're still friends today. We've been friends, best of friends ever since. I mean, we've been very close. And he picks me up and he walks me to the nurse's office. And he had been training martial arts since he was a kid, really young. So he handed me a free trial karate card. He happened to have one in his pocket. He goes, "You need this." And I took it, and we didn't really say anything other than that. Went home, asked my mom. I said, "Hey, can I do this?" And my mom was always concerned that if I did any sports, it would mess up my surgeries because I was still undergoing a lot of surgeries at the time. And she goes, "Maybe." So the next month was my birthday. I wind up going home, and there was a cake, a card, and a box waiting for me. So I open up the card, and it's got some money in there. Thanks, Mom. Put that in the pocket. Cake I like. And then there was the box. I opened it up, and there was a piece of paper in there. And as a kid, when you're young, you're like, well, what the fuck is this? What am I going to do with this piece of paper? And she goes, "Read it." And I did. And it was paid in full martial arts classes for an entire year. She had paid for the entire year. And she goes, "Your first class is tonight. Your uniform's waiting on you at the school." And so ever since then, I've been doing martial arts now 29 years of my life, which means I'm very old, and I'm just getting older.
I remember reading that in your book, and that's, it's amazing how many people go through that's in martial arts had similar experiences, like with bullying.
Yeah, I was pissed off when Cobra Kai came out. You see this shit? They stole my goddamn story. These sons of bitches. Kid with a palate getting beat on, gets into martial arts. Like, oh, come on. You're not going to give me a residual check for stealing my shit?
Just wait till the sequel. Wait till the sequel comes out, and he'll have his own YouTube as well.
Yeah, I know, right? And then he starts a channel that calls out frauds, and that kid doesn't even have a real cleft palate. Come on, you got this poser in there. Give me somebody real. All these kids with cleft palates who would love to work in acting, and you painted on this kid's face as disrespectful as humanly possible. Thanks, douchebags.
So, what styles of martial arts have you taken?
I am a 3rd-degree black belt in something called American Freestyle Karate. For us, it was basically like kickboxing. We didn't do any kata. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt in something called Do, which is a weapon system not too many people have heard of. Whenever you see me do nunchucks online, that's from that system. I am a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 6-0 amateur boxer, 4-2 amateur kickboxer. I was on an international kickboxing team called Team Full Circle. So we traveled internationally, did sport karate and kickboxing tournaments. And then I ran a school for 4 years until it got bought out, which was dope. I loved getting bought out. I was like, oh, I don't have to do any of this paperwork anymore. Please just pay me a check. And then I've been doing McDojo Life now for 13 years. Martial arts business consulting started about the same because they went hand in hand. And then now I'm the vice president of Academy Safe, and I'm helping out with a thing called Seminar Stack, which is great. It's like a martial arts first responders expo, and that's actually taking place August 8th in Manheim, Pennsylvania. So that'll be a blast. It's actually like only in a few weeks. So I missed a meeting this morning. I think they'll probably be pissed off at me, but it'll be all right.
That's incredible. So, speaking of McDojo Life, did you ever think it would get as big as it is?
Fuck no, no, absolutely not. I thought it was going to be a hobby. Like when I first started, Instagram only did photos for anybody who remembers that. Like Instagram didn't allow video. So you only posted photos on there. But Facebook allowed you to do, real long form. So what I would do is I would post long form essays on my Facebook page originally, on my original Facebook page before that got taken down. And then I had to rebuild the entire thing. I finally just got back over 100,000. So yeah, I used to do these long form essays, and I noticed like on Bullshido forums was kind of the only real reference that I had back then. And sometimes it was hit or miss. Like most of Bullshido forums at the time was a bunch of people complaining about things that, in my opinion, were nonsensical complaints. People would complain about how long it took to get a belt, but then they would praise someone like BJ Penn. I was like, you got his belt in 3 years. So why are you complaining this guy got his belt in 3 years? And it all boiled down to it was an art they didn't do. It had nothing to do with validity or like true argument. It had everything to do with ego. It was the same thing with price. They were like, oh, this gym has contracts. Who gives a, it's a business. Like most gym contracts, by the way, you can just give a 30 days notice. So like, it's still kind of a month to month contract if you think about it. But a lot of these people who run gyms, they take pride in the fact that they're like in financial destitute, which is fucking dumb. They're like, oh yeah, well our gym only has like 10 students, but our 10 students can beat up your students. I'm like, well, bitch, if this was an army, you have 10 people in your army and they have thousands in their army would beat your army. So like, doesn't matter how good your people are. It has more to do with the fact that people were complaining about these semantical arguments. And what I noticed is they were ignoring major issues. They were ignoring rape and fraud and murder and extortion and pedophilia. They were ignoring real major issues. And they were complaining about how long it took to get a belt. But then they were praising someone like Lloyd Irving, who was like out there, like basically committing horrendous crimes with his team, also committing horrendous crimes. But because they win jujitsu tournaments, it's okay. Or like Cyborg, like paying severance to a rapist. And like, why is that okay? Because he's good at jujitsu, we're just going to ignore the rest. So people were willing to ignore horrific actual crimes because their jujitsu was good or because their martial art is better than others. I got to tell you, I would rather go to a gym where I don't have the possibility of being defrauded, murdered, hurt for the rest of my life, or raped, than go to a gym that people consider legitimate, where those things are on the table. Like hard pass, man. So the whole goal of McDojo Life was I created very 5 specific rules. I don't deviate from them. And if somebody ever if I die or if something happens, those rules are still there. Other people can still hold a standard. And the standards are pretty easy. I think don't sexually molest people. I think we can all agree that's not cool. Don't financially defraud people. Don't purposely harm your students. Do not lie about your particular qualifications, and don't mislabel things. Like, don't claim you have magical abilities because you fucking don't. Don't claim that because you're doing cardio kickboxing, you're going to be the world's greatest kickboxer. You're not going to. Don't do cult shit. Like the gauntlet, for instance, is culty as shit. Like, why would you ever let somebody whip you? Unless that's your shit and you paid them sexually. Like everything's different in the martial arts gym. So we want to make sure we protect that integrity in some way. By the way, just as a side note, I am no fucking saint. I don't claim to be a saint, but I can promise you this, those 5 things I don't fucking do.
Like, I know you said you're not a saint, but your motto is keeping the martial arts legit. And to me, like, I feel like you embody integrity. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know about that, man. Like I've made my mistakes. Like I'm not a perfect human being. Like, I smoke weed. I fucking love it. I didn't even start smoking weed. I didn't like it until like my mid 30s. And it was just because I didn't want to get addicted to pain pills like I had seen so many other friends. Because when you do this long enough, your body does start to revolt. It's like, oh, remember that lower back? Yeah, that's going to be in pain from here on out. Oh, how's that right knee? Oh, it doesn't hurt bad enough? Keep training. We're going to make sure that that gets even worse. But like, I drink. I go out and have a good time. Like, there's been so many times where I've been like at like I was at a jiu-jitsu competition, right? And it was like one of those like super fight competitions, not like a regular tournament. If there's kids around, it's not, I'll always mind my P's and Q's. But, I was like hammered drunk and like I was having a great time. And somebody walked up, they were like, "Are you drunk?" I was like, "Yes, I am." Why? Because like I can be that. I'm a fucking adult. I can do what I want. Do I train as much as I should? Absolutely not. I'm of the mind that at this point in my career, I'll train because I like it. I'm fucking 41 years old. It's a delusion in people's minds to think that you age like wine. Like you wash out at a certain point physically, your body won't do it. So why do you do this? And for me, I do this because I love martial arts. I truly love it with all of my heart. And in order to keep that love, I don't do this David Goggins bullshit where I'm just like, be hard, go every day, go harder than everybody else. Fuck that, dude. What are you're going to do that in your 70s, your 80s? That's how you're going to do it? Everybody has peaks and plateaus. Everybody has valleys. Everybody has this moment in their life where they have to reevaluate why they do something. And my stage in my life now is I want to enjoy this. And I can't enjoy it if I'm constantly shoving it down my own throat. Like I have to deal with some of the most horrific things you've ever seen in martial arts. Horrible, horrible things that I wish no one in their life has to see, that I have to see to be effective at my job. That takes away from your love of this. There was like 2 years of my life where I just stopped training almost completely because I could not walk into a gym without feeling almost ill that I was there because of all the evil that I had seen. So I needed to reevaluate, why am I doing this? Why am I protecting this thing that is so vile? Then I realized it's not all that. That's just what I see from my perspective and my job. So now being able to go back to the table and just go, you know what? I'm doing it because I like it. I don't need to do it because I'm a better fighter. I don't need to do it because I'm a better coach. I don't need to do it because I'm better than fucking anybody. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. Like when I play video games, like, am I going to be the best fucking video game player in the world? No. Why do you do it then? Because I like it. That's it. That's most of the time the only reason you need to do anything. And I think sometimes you can get swept up in other people's bullshit, especially in the industry. So reevaluating really went a long way to make me love this again. And I do. I absolutely love this shit. And I think that it's a beneficial thing for everybody. But we can't keep bullshitting ourselves by putting ourselves to other people's standards. That is the best way to fail at anything because you're never going to meet someone else's standards. So fuck them. Be you, enjoy it, have fun, set markers for yourself. But every once in a while, it's okay to reevaluate why you're doing what you're doing, reassess, and then set new goals. And my goal is every time I walk into the gym, I want to smile. I want to have fun and I want to enjoy it. And I do. And I fucking love that part of my life right now.
At what point did McDojo Life explode?
Shit. I mean, I think most people, well, funny enough. So like, I don't even know how much I've really told this. Most people don't ask this. So like everybody knows that Rogan has been a big supporter of the page. I mean, I am forever grateful. And I cannot sit here and say that without him, I'd be where I am right now. I am so fucking grateful. And I have amazing Rogan stories, by the way. Like, been crazy over the years, just what he's done that has led to incredible stories for me. But the real thing that actually blew the page up wasn't really him. Surprisingly enough, it was this bit that I did, which at first, when I first started doing McDojo Life, I understood that I would ruffle feathers and that there would be repercussions. So I did not put my face out. And then I came across this bit that just fell in my lap. And I had to put, it was the first time I ever put my face on the page too. So there was this guy who used to date a friend of mine and he was cool then. Like I liked him. I thought he was fun. Right. But we hung out when we were drinking and having fun. Right. And then at the time I was helping out with jiu-jitsu. So I was a striking coach there. I was a program director and I helped assist with, classes. I think I was a blue belt at the time. And so we were doing this women's self-defense seminar. And so I posted it on my personal Facebook, which I don't even have a personal Facebook because right when I got kicked off, like I just was like, all right, years of all the shit that you have is gone, photos, memories. I was like, I ain't doing this shit anymore. So I posted this women's self-defense flyer on my Facebook page. And I was like, hey, if you're in Jacksonville, Florida, you want to come out and learn, it was like kind of like a free trial class, to say the least. And all these women were like, yeah, we'd love to be there. This will be fun. We're really looking forward to it. And then out of nowhere, this fucking douchebag just pops up in the comment sections and he's talking shit to every one of these women. And now this was an acquaintance. He used to date a friend of mine. So I thought, like, where is this animosity coming from? So I was like, I went on and I sent him a direct message. I was like, hey man, what are you doing? It's like, you're telling these women, first of all, you're out of your depth. This is something that I do for a living. You do not. You've never trained. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. And this is also my job. So you're now reaching into my pocket and taking away from potential clients. And again, you're just wrong. He's like, women could never beat a man no matter how much they train. I was like, have you ever seen Gabby Garcia? Like, you have no fucking idea what you're saying. And so, and over the years of training, there have been so many talented women who I've trained with who could beat my ass, like and so I was like, I think you're out of your depth. And he was like, if you can find me a woman that will beat me, I'll say I'm wrong. I was like, oh, fucking bet. And at the time, I didn't put my face on McDojo Life. So he didn't know I ran this page. So I went over to McDojo Life. I took a bunch of the screenshots and I wrote like a little bit of an essay. And I was like, look, this is the situation. Is there anybody out there willing to like fight this man who is a female who would be willing to do it? And man, people came out of the woodwork. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And like, I found a location. I found like people who were willing to like fight this man. And we were going through these conversations about how it would go. And then out of nowhere, there was like news stations calling me. They're like, hey, we heard about this match, this man versus woman match. Like, can we interview? I was like, oh, what? Fine. Like, so that was supposed to take place in Central Florida. And so next thing you know, on Reddit, it was the number one post on Reddit. Like number one, like out of all of Reddit at the time, it was the biggest one. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because he was so unlikable and such a douchebag. And he leaned into that so hard. And all these women were just like, oh, I would fuck this man up. We're talking straight killers were in my inbox. I was like, oh, you fucked up. So then we wind up getting one woman who was willing to do it. And then we set up a venue. And then it was like 3 weeks before this match was supposed to happen, the venue just pulled out. I was like, that was where all like the ads were for the shit. I was like, yo, what the fuck, man? You can't just pull out on me. It's like 3 weeks to go time. They were like, well, we're a little worried about state athletic commission and all that shit. And I was like, I get it. At the same time, it sucks, but I was like, I understand. But I was like, this is a sparring match. Why are you so upset? Like they were like, but still, like the athletic commission's gonna come down. And I was like, all right, well, we'll fucking see. So I wind up getting that fixed. Then 2 weeks before, the woman who was supposed to face him, her manager was like, don't do this. And then she pulled out. I was like, oh my God, like what the fuck? So I wind up getting somebody else. And then that person a week before was like, all right, well, I do have a real MMA match. And that MMA match is potentially for a UFC contract. I have to take that, but I still want to take this. And I was like, okay. I was like, but you have to understand, like, you have to show up to this. And I was like, you're about to get into a real fight. So, anything could happen. You could break a goddamn toe. And of course, I get a call and I get a photo like after her match. And she looked like she had been beaten with a baseball bat. I was like, oh my God, there's no way you could do this. There's no way. And she was like, well, if you still need me to, I was like, absolutely fucking not. Like, no, you're not going to do this. Like, you look like you went through a meat grinder. Then I felt bad for her because obviously this was something that could have been a potentially big publicity thing for her. And she just lost that fight, which means she didn't get into the UFC. Hopefully she did afterwards. So last minute, like 3 days before this damn thing, I wind up getting a replacement fighter. And it was Tara LaRosa. And Tara LaRosa back in the day was like the woman's MMA champ. Like she was the shit, like before Ronda Rousey came around, right? And so she was retired, she was like, fuck it, I'll do it. Why not? And so we wind up making that happen. So the day before, my whole Facebook page gets shut down. Like I'm not allowed to post. I'm not allowed to comment. I'm not allowed to do anything. And I was like, oh my God, this is how I'm communicating to everybody because I was going to stream it live on Facebook. And I was like, Jesus Christ, what else could fucking go wrong? So I wind up figuring out that even though that was done, the event page, I could still start another account and still stream to that event page. So I was like, okay, I'm still good. So I wind up figuring that out. I get there the day of, and when I get there, the person's wife who owned the gym runs in. I just set up all the camera equipment and everything. She runs in. She's like, "You need to leave." What the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, I'm not leaving. I was like, we are about to start this in a second. There's no way I'm leaving. Like, she was like, you just have to leave. I was like, can you give me an explanation why? She's like, no, I'm not. You just need to leave. I was like, okay, good luck, because I ain't leaving then. And then a police officer comes in right after. He goes, hey guys, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. It's like, are these two about to fight? I was like, no, they're about to spar. It's a martial arts gym. That's completely legal. He's like, I heard some money will be exchanged. I was like, no, no, no. She's getting paid to be here to teach a seminar. That's it. And he was like, that's not going to fly. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not, they can't spar in a martial arts gym and I can't pay her to teach a seminar. Like, I don't understand what the problem is. He was like, the moment they touch gloves, you're going to jail. And I was like, fuck. I was like, I don't have a lawyer right now. He's not here. I don't know. So we had to stop and I had to go live. We're talking like, I think it was over 10,000 people were watching this. And I had to go on there with her on my right side, him on my left side. And I had to explain to the public why this wasn't going to happen. And of course, the internet does what the internet does. I knew this was a scam. I knew you weren't going to do it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, fuck you. That's not how this works. Like, this is real life. And so we did wind up making it happen. It happened in an undisclosed location. We had to film it ahead of time. I couldn't do it live because then people would know where we were. I did get a subpoena from the State Athletic Commission, but because we didn't do it in Florida and I got subpoenaed by the State Athletic Commission in Florida, I was like, prove that it was in Florida. And then I never heard from them again. I was like, suck it, I win. And it didn't happen in Florida. It happened somewhere else. But she wound up like beating him. Like, he tapped a cardio. All of his bravado, all of his like men are stronger and bigger and shit. He tapped to cardio. She wind up shooting in. She slipped. He shot to the back. He goes for a rear naked choke because he fucking lied. He was training on the side. He blows his arms out like any white belt would because it's not in. He just like tenses. She winds up like laughing because it's so comical how bad he is. She winds up getting the underhook. She gets him against the wall. They wind up going back down. She gets him in side control and he taps. And I was like, oh no, no, you don't get to tap the side control, you fuck. Like, all that shit he was talking, he was threatening me, like people that I knew. He was being a complete prick. I was like, he goes, I'm going to throw up. I was like, then you throw up and you come back and you do it again. Like, I'm not going to let you just get away with tapping to cardio, you pussy. So he winds up getting back up, does it again. She winds up getting him in an arm bar. So she beat him twice. And so, but that story, when it happened, was this huge deal. It really did elevate McDojo Life to like a lot bigger than I mean, a piece of original content that blew up. And then after that, of course, the Rogan stuff and all that helped too.
That's incredible. So, how do you handle being one of the most recognizable names in martial arts? I mean, you have people like Jocko and Rogan, they're fans of yours.
I mean, I don't know if I'm one of the most recognizable. I, I, I don't know, man. Like, I just do what I do. I don't really think I'm that recognizable. I mean, I got stars on my face. It's hard to miss this guy, especially when I'm wearing a hat that literally says the name of the page. But I'm grateful that people support what I do. And whether they're Rogan, Jocko, Tom Segura, or whether they're Steve from some no-name gym in Albuquerque, like, they are all just as equal to me in terms of how important that is. Because anybody who knows that you exist and supports you, that's important. That should mean something to you. And it doesn't matter what their particular status is. That means fucking nothing to me. What does matter is that there are people out there who give a fuck. And as long as there are people who actually care, then I will continue to do this. And to be fair, even if no one gave a damn except for the victims who I help, I'm just as happy with that. Like, there's so many people out there who look at the Instagram page and don't do any research into what I do beyond that. And then they come at me in a very like sideways disrespectful manner, thinking that it's a meme page. And that is like such an understatement. It has nothing to do with me or my ego. It has everything to do with the facts. The goal here is to change this landscape. And while Instagram gets the short form content and Instagram does not pay me, people forget that this is also a job for me. And in order for me to be able to continue to spend 14-hour days doing research on a crime, where if I fuck that up, I have to wind up going to court for slander, libel, defamation of character, Like that takes time. And I can't do a day job and do that and be effective. So like the people who think that it's just a meme page, I think that I wish they would just look into what I do and really look into the work that is done here. And it's not just me. I started off with me, but I have a team. We have Academy Safe now, which actually makes a fucking difference. We're doing a documentary, which will actually make a difference. The people who back those things make a difference. And it's not just about saying, ha, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. Like, who gives a fuck if he. I don't post individuals just punching and kicking the air if you ever look. Why? Because that person hasn't really violated any of the rules we talk about. Why should I make fun of them? Like, it's not the point. And I wish people would really understand that.
So speaking of Academy Safe, that organization is incredible. You get instructor CPR certified. You guys do background checks. Can you go into more depth about that?
Yeah. So I got a phone call. I think it was maybe about 2 years ago now, maybe it might have even been longer. But I got a phone call from a guy named Milton, and Milton runs the Jiu Jitsu Dummies podcast. And I had been on his show a few times, and over the years, people had asked me to do some sort of accreditation system. And I'm just one person, and I already have so much on my plate. I was like, that would require a company. Like, that's a lot of policies and procedures. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of footwork to make sure that this industry is better. I was like, I can only do so much as one person. And so that's been in the back of my mind for years. And then I was at a thing called Operation Smile, which is a cleft lip and palate company that helps and does good work around the world. So I was doing a speaking engagement there. So I do like a speech. I leave, I go outside to get some air, and he calls me. He goes, "Hey, you got a minute?" And we talked, and he was like, "I want to start this company that accredits martial arts gyms. I would like you to be a part of it." We talked. I was like, absolutely. He sent me a list of jobs. He was like, which one do you want? And vice president was there. And I was like, I fucking take that. And so we started, we've been working on it now for a while. We have, at this point, hundreds of dojos who have signed up to be a part of this. And really what Academy Safe does is it puts on a pedestal the schools that are going above and beyond. A lot of people aren't aware, but in the United States, you don't actually need anything to start a martial arts school. You don't need a background check. You don't need CPR. You don't need concussion training. You don't need safe sport. I mean, a lot of gyms, astonishing amount of gyms don't even have insurance. And so the goal is to say, hey, even though these things are not required, if you do them, we'll try to push out to the public and make people aware that you do these things. And it's been amazing. I mean, we help people get defibrillators, which, that's near and dear to a lot of people who have had heart issues on the mat. We help people get background checks, CPR, first aid training, concussion training, safe sport, cameras on site. Because cameras on site don't just protect the student, they protect you as an instructor from accusations. Also, you know, the, the fact that these gyms go out of their way to say, hey, we have done our due diligence, that matters more. I don't give a fuck if they can't fight their way out of a paper bag. Like, that's for you as a student to understand. What I care about is these people are being transparent, they're being honest, and it's a safe environment. And that alone says that they're setting their standards higher. And to be honest, most gyms who set those standards higher, their curriculum is set higher too. And I think those people deserve that push. And I think that our industry deserves that safety net. And I tell people this all the time. I am the vice president of Academy Safe, right? I have a lot of stake in that game. I don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck if you decide that you don't want to be Academy Safe. What I do care about is I care about you going out, doing your due diligence, get background checks, get defibrillators on site, get CPR certified. Go do those things on your own if you don't want to go through Academy Safe. I don't give a fuck. The point isn't money in my pocket. Trust me. Trust me when I say this. I don't make a ton of money doing what I do. I don't. I make enough to get by. Not a lot of sponsors are lining up to go, this rape is sponsored by Geico. Doesn't work that way, right? There's not a lot of money in what I do. I don't give a fuck about that. What I care about is that this industry is a little better than how I found it. And if I do that, I did my job. Then hopefully one day I can retire, drink some margaritas on the beach, and not have to do this fucking job anymore because it's horrific, you know?
I really hope it becomes a standard. Like I said, it's incredible. Have you seen lives already impacted by Academy Safe?
100%. Like, I'm actually going to be releasing a video, I think probably within the next week. I probably should do it this week, honestly. But we've been doing this thing where we're trying to show off those gyms, and I'll be showing them off on McDojo Life as well, where we're like, the gyms are saying the standards that they have. And what we noticed is that a lot of times when people go to martial arts studios, the only question that they know to ask when they first walk up is how much does it cost? So we've noticed that now with those gyms saying, hey, we're academy safe, we're academy safe, we're academy safe. Every time I do a story, unfortunately, on McDojo Life about someone who molested somebody or somebody who did something wrong, I try to make sure that I'm respectful to my actual sponsors by not saying, like, hey, you should buy this supplement on this rape story. But what I do is I say that it's sponsored by Academy Safe. And then people start to see that and they go, man, this is horrible. What were the things that we could have put in place to stop these things from happening? And it works. I mean, the fact that even if one gym does background checks on everybody, that means it's a safer environment for everybody. And Academy Safe allows that. And it means that I'm not just working 24, which I do anyway, but it means that I'm not working 24 hours on that. We have a team that helps with that. We have onboarding processes. We help with their SEOs. We really do try to make sure they're put on this pedestal, and it's only going to continue to grow. Again, I don't give a fuck if someone starts with Academy Safe. If you don't want to support McDojo Life, if you don't want to support Academy Safe, if you don't want to support what we do, don't. It's not for you. It's not for everybody. But don't ignore safety of your fucking students. Go out on your own. You go get that stuff. I'm just letting you know, if you want it cheaper, we can help you out with that. If you want to spend an assload of money getting all that stuff, by all means, have at it. But if you want somebody to help guide you, to follow up with you, to make sure that you're on the right path, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I'm a CPR instructor and I offer free CPR classes to like any instructor that wants to come and get it.
I love that. I think that's amazing. Like, I think that it's the things that our industry is lacking that our industry seems to make fun of the most. For instance, when people talk about MMA and they talk about somebody who doesn't know MMA who's commenting on MMA, our community has this like natural repellent of those people. We call them casuals, right? We have a name for it. We're like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Who gives a fuck? Who fucking cares if they don't know what they're talking about? No one gives a shit. And you think everybody in the NBA needs everyone in the stands to know how to play every ounce of basketball? No, they buy the t-shirts. They support the players. But those same people who sit there and make fun of people who don't know what they're talking about are the same people who wonder why fighters don't get paid more. Like, you're pushing away the fan base, you dumb fuck. Like, don't do that. Let the fan base learn as they go. Let them have that white belt stage. Talk to them like they're human beings. Like, they don't need to know everything about fighting to be a fan of fighting. You think everybody who watched fucking Under Siege knew everything about fighting? No, they were just like, this movie's pretty dope. Steven Seagal's a douche, but the movie's great. Martial arts is very convoluted that way, where people will be like, that gym's charging too much. No, they're not. That gym can charge whatever they want. They want to charge $1 million a day. They could do that. If there's someone willing to pay that, that's completely fine, because for that individual person, it's worth it. They're getting their value. And so people will undercut themselves and then they'll complain. There'll be gyms out there who do this shit where they're like, oh, we charge $50 a month. By the way, that's retarded. But they'll wind up doing like $50 a month. And they'll be like, our gym's better because we're cheaper. And then I'll be like, okay, well, why do you have an employee who doesn't get paid? You literally have an indentured servant behind your counter answering your phones. And you think that's good for them. No, or make more money so you can buy better equipment. So you can make sure your gym is cleaner. So you have equipment that's clean and sanitary. So you have sanitation chemicals to make sure your gym is cleaner. So you have more people on the mat who give a fuck, who will actually help with your classes. So you can afford CPR, because so many people are like, you're now going to ask for background checks. How could gyms afford that? What, $35 background check? If your gym cannot afford a $35 background check, quit now. Life is way harder than that. You just give up, because all you're doing is putting people in danger at that point if you don't do it yourself.
Yeah, and it's a liability issue too. I mean, it'll keep you out of the media. It'll keep them from you doing an article on them.
Yeah, like, you think, then that's like really sad, man. Like, there's been so many times where there's like a gym owner who follows my page, and then I have to do a story about them. like a mind blown sometimes with the way that this industry operates, and they think that this is something special. Like this is this is nothing different. Every activity that you do will have some supplemental perk. Like if you go do baseball and you like baseball, yeah, maybe you do lose weight. Do you go baseball because you want to lose weight? Some people might. Some people might not. Do you go to martial arts? Do you go because you want to be a world champion in baseball and be the best baseball player there ever was? Some people do, some people don't. Right? But do you do it as a hobby? Some people do. And no one fucking cares. No one gives a shit that they're hobbyists. But in martial arts, it's like if you're not doing it for the reason I'm doing it, then you suck and we're gonna make fun of you. Like that's so self-deprecating for our industry. How are we supposed to grow if we keep tearing each other down in that way? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. I get people from all over, different styles. We can see the similarities and, kind of grow like that. So what's your biggest influences in martial arts?
Man, influences. That's weird, man. I guess like probably pop culture. Like obviously, I think I started martial arts, and my only reference was pop culture. So like martial arts films and stuff like that. When I started, I started when I was 12. So like I didn't really even see the UFC until like later. But it was one of those things where it was like on VHS, and you had to like go and get the VHSs and like pop them in and watch them then, and that was really cool to watch because to me, like those people are legends. And or like movies, right? Like I really wasn't a Bruce Lee fan until way later in my martial arts career. But like stupid shit like Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy. Like I love that movie. It's like nostalgia for me. Or what else? That movie Sidekicks with Chuck Norris. Like I always loved like this. We're not going to take it too seriously. We're going to just enjoy it for what it is. That kind of stuff always blew my mind. But of course, I watched Power Rangers. Like when that came out, I remember coming home and like watching it, the first episode, being like, oh my God, Power Rangers is shit. Ninja Turtles when I was younger than that. I think martial arts has this like deep rooted pop culture like scene. And I wish like we dig back into that again more. Like, but we're in the era where there's no more like action heroes like there used to be. I mean, when John Wick came out and then, Keanu Reeves was like an action hero again in martial arts, it was like, this is what I miss. I miss the eras of the Jean Claude Van Damme's, Chuck Norris's, the Bruce Lee's, even fucking Steven Seagal in his first 4 movies before he decided his ass never was coming out of a chair again. Like all of those things were great and they inspired people and they made people hungry for it. And now MMA has done that for people. But I think MMA doesn't necessarily inspire people to want to do anything other than MMA. Like I think that our industry needs more pop culture in its life again.
So what do you think makes a good instructor?
Giving a damn. Anytime I do business consulting for schools, I ask them 2 questions. The first one is, can you be wrong? And the only reason I do that is so that way we don't argue with each other. Like, can you be wrong? Of course we can all be wrong. And the other one is, step one to making sure your studio does well is just give a damn about your student. If you give a damn about your student, everything else falls into place. Do I actually care about them or do I care about me? If you're a good instructor, you don't give a shit if your student goes and trains at another gym because it benefits the student to get more information coming in. You don't care that your student goes and does a seminar at another place because it's beneficial for the student to get more information. You encourage them. You make them want to continue to do this. You listen to what they have to say. If someone comes in and says, man, I just want to do this for fun, and you're shoving competition down their throat, you're not a good coach. You're an asshole. You're saying, you know what? You have your needs, but I have mine, and my needs are more important than yours, even though you're paying me to give you what you're asking for. That's egotistical. That's bullshit. Listen to them and their needs. Provide what they're asking. That makes a good coach. One of the best coaches who was a very close friend of mine back in the day, he passed away. His name's Duke Rufus. And Duke Rufus was one of the first interviews that I ever did. He always supported me. We would shoot the shit. Anytime I go to the MMA award show, we get hammered drunk together and have a good fucking time. He's a good dude. And to see the way that his students admired him was incredible. he gave a damn about his students. He cared about their wants and needs. He's a good coach. He was a fantastic human. Why? Just because he cared. And I think that if people listen to their students, give a fuck about them, that's what makes you a good coach. You know, it's my opinion.
I agree 100%. So where do you see the future of martial arts headed?
I mean, I think it's like cyclical. I mean, martial arts is very funny because it kind of goes in these patterns that are very predictable. You know, like you have like martial arts in television and film. And that then leads to like martial arts advancing in athletics. So people will start doing like the exercise programs that are involved with martial arts and things like that. So like you had the 80s action star and the 90s action star. Then you had Taibo. Taibo blows up, right? Then people are like, okay, well, it's entertaining and it helps me, but what about the realism? And then you have like the UFC blowing up, right? And then it goes back. Then you have entertainment. So you have like John Wick and shit like that, right? And then you have the exercise programs, and then you have the realism again. And I think we're in this beautiful, in my opinion, martial arts renaissance. I feel so grateful to have this particular job in the era that I have, because like, I don't think people truly grasp and appreciate where we are right now. And they won't until everybody fucking dies. It's how art goes. Imagine being in the real Renaissance, like the true Renaissance, and you can just go down the street and learn how to paint from like Rembrandt. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go to this like mixer. I heard like fucking Da Vinci's gonna be down there. We're gonna go fucking hang out and smoke some weed. You could do that right now. Eddie Bravo created 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu, which is a system that is absolutely legendary for what it's been able to do. No-gi Jiu-Jitsu and a high level. That is a true curriculum that is battle tested in our modern era. You can go train with him. He's right there. You want to go train with his instructor, Jean Jacques? Also right down the road. You want to train with Dan Inosanto, fucking legend? He's still alive and training right now. Not for much longer, but he's still there. Like, we're in this beautiful, beautiful renaissance period of martial arts, of evolution and reality. Like, since 1993, I believe that was the first domino that really tipped everything over when the UFC started. People had to view martial arts in a different way because it was confined, and they were like, you motherfuckers are locked in a cage. Let's see who wins. Ready, go. And like, that started a path of martial arts evolution. I mean, even when you look at things like Taekwondo or karate, like, people make fun of karate all the time, but those people, I think, are very ignorant to the reality. There are over 200 different styles of karate, and they make fun of Taekwondo. People are unaware of how many MMA champions have Taekwondo black belts. Like, we have people like Lyoto Machida, Bas Rutten, GSP, Stephen Thompson, Michael Venom Page. These are all karate guys. They're all different versions of karate. I mean, two are Kyokushin. There's Shotokan. There's Kempo. One guy is very good at sport karate. I don't remember his particular style, but those are all different versions of karate that have been shown to be effective in that arena. So why would we make fun of it instead of trying to evolve it? And that's what those guys did. They evolved their art, but they had to, because they were like, well, just so you know, there are these other styles out there that now we can see and have litmus tests for what is effective and what isn't. Taekwondo nowadays, like, those guys can literally fly. I mean, the acrobatic kicking that they can do is amazing. And not everybody wants to be a professional fighter. Some people want to go into stunt work. Some people want to evolve that, and they do. I mean, if you watch like even Tron, not the last one, but the one before that, like, the acrobatic kicking that is in that, those aren't wires. Those are real people. They just slapped them in a green screen and let them do their thing. People like Anish Sharufa, people like Matt Emig, Daniel Sterling, all of those guys, fantastic martial artists. Are they fighters? Not really, but they don't give a fuck, because all of us, all the people who actually do fight, will still line up and go watch John Wick and pay millions of dollars to watch people who don't really know how to fight and still admire their art. There's nothing wrong with that. Do that. Have fun. But we're in a renaissance. And I hope people see that. I hope decades from now, when people look back, they'll be like, oh, man, how cool would it have been to have been in that era of martial arts? I think we're in that.
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of film, how's the documentary coming along?
Phenomenal. So it took us 6 years, man. It was wild. So we originally came up with the idea because other people online, which I've never done anything with McDojoLife that people didn't ask me to do. Because if the audience doesn't ask, they probably don't want it. So like even my logo wasn't this logo. It was some logo that some dude drew for me back in the day that was like really shitty. And I was like, I didn't like it, but I put it up just because it was a fan who did it. I was like, thank you. Like, as a thank you, I'm just going to put it up anyway, even though I don't like it. And then somebody was like, hey, man, do you have t shirts? And I was like, well, no. And then I looked at the logo. I was like, I'd never wear that shit. But people kept asking. So eventually I was like, you know what? Let me create a logo that I can stand behind that I would wear. And so we did. And then I sold t shirts. And then somebody was like, this would make a good show. And I kept hearing that. And I was like, man, this would actually make a fucking good show. So I did a test footage. I think the test footage might have even been maybe even 7, 8 years ago. And the test footage, I found a fraud that was going to be teaching a seminar in LA. It was in a dog park. And I was like, let's film this. So I hired a company to film it. And originally I asked Matt Page. And if anybody doesn't know who Matt Page is the guy who's Master Ken. So like we were buddies and like, after Rogan talked about me on his show, I flew out to see Matt Page and we did a bunch of content together back in the day. And then this idea came up and we've been buddies here and there. Like we talk every once in a while. And so I reached out to him. I was like, hey man, I know that you're like actually went to film school. Would you be willing to like maybe be a director of this movie I have an idea for? And he was like, nah. And then I found out that he had his own movie he was working on at the time. I think it's called Cop versus Bad Guy or something like that. It's like Matt Page's own film. And he said no. But then I had worked with these guys over at a place called Vodo Studios, and they did this content called Mexican Martial Arts. And that guy, Vincent, who's fantastic, he does this character named Master Jesse or some shit. And we worked together so good and we had such good synergy, me and that team. And their work was so beautiful. I asked them and they agreed. So went out to this dog park in LA, had the camera crew, paid an astronomical amount of money for the seminar. I think it was like $600 for a seminar. And wind up getting there. And when I wrote an email, I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm excited about your seminar. Is it okay if we film? We're kind of working on a documentary, blah, blah, blah. And they only answered me with the address and the time. That was it. I wrote like a whole paragraph and they were like, this time, this address. And that was it. And I was like, oh, I don't fucking know what they're going to do. We go out to the park. A van pulls up, like, which is like just one van, like unmarked. It opens up and literally everyone from the seminar was in that van except for me. I was the only person who wasn't a part of the cult who showed up to the seminar. So I stand out like a sore thumb with a camera guy. And a guy walks over. His name's Mark Rasmus, who I've done many a video on. He's a crazy person, but he's a big dude. He's like 6'5" or some shit. He's like a huge man. So I'm looking up this guy. I was like, hey man, I'm just doing this. Hopefully you don't mind. I record this. He was like, you're not allowed to. And he just walks forward. I was like, ah. So I was like, hey, just so you know, I paid my camera guy for the day. Is it okay if he just gets like B-roll, and shoots around here? He's like, yeah, that's fine. So I walked over. I was like, I'm just going to tell him to go do that. So I walked my camera guy away from earshot. I was like, I don't give a fuck what you do. You film every second of this goddamn seminar because we're in public. I was like, find a place to film. He's like, can I film from the car? I was like, no, because we can clearly see you. I was like, just find another place to film. So he walks up this like walking mountain thing and he's filming down from like a ledge. And they didn't even notice. And we didn't get the footage that we wanted, but in that time, we did get a couple nuggets of gold. And so based off of that, I talked to the guys. I was like, we should do a full doc and not a show. And they were like, okay, let's do that. We crowdfunded. The idea from conception to starting the crowdfunding was 3 months because there was a Conor McGregor fight and their live streams were really good at the time. And so we knew they would be well. So we launched the crowdfunding during that time, which was a 3-month period. Then after that, Indiegogo allows you to crowdfund for 90 days. So we did that for, again, another 3 months. So we're 6 months in from concept to there. Then I was like, okay, well, we raised $20,000, not even close to the 200,000 that we were trying to raise. And there was hiccups because one guy, I guess, years before that, not even years, I think it was only a year before that, there was a guy that had done a crowdfunding who was not associated with me at all. No fucking clue who this guy was. He tried to start a crowdfunding campaign and he stole everyone's money and disappeared. And he was going to do a documentary about all the red belts that were in jiu-jitsu. And so people are like, this is just like that scam I gave money to. I was like, I'm not that guy. Why are you mad at me? But they were already jaded. And then some other asshole saw that we were doing this, took a bunch of my clips and put it on YouTube and called it a documentary about fake martial arts. So people were like, why would I pay you when there's this free documentary? I was like, that's not that's not what that is. That's a shitty YouTube video that has nothing to do with what we're trying to accomplish. But people were jaded by that. And that guy got millions of views. I think it was like 14 million views. Like crushed my soul. Because if each one of those people actually donated $1, imagine what we could have really done. We would have had a full show, probably 2, 3 seasons off of that money. So that hurt. So we wind up taking that. I put in another $20,000 of my own money and we shot after that. But it was like 3 months after we had got the money. That was when the team was scheduled to be free. That's 9 months in from me announcing that this is going to happen. And you'd be amazed how quickly people are pieces of shit online. I announced the day I had the idea that I was going to be doing this. And then it was like only took like a month and people were like, where's that documentary? Like, bitch, it's not. Are you It blows my mind how fucking ignorant people are for this shit. They're like, why don't you just do it for free? Because that would be a shitty movie. They were like, you could just like, you don't need money. I was like, yeah, you do. Like, I'm supposed to not eat. I'm not supposed to travel. I'm supposed to do it from here, right? I'm not supposed to go interview people. How do you think we get there? I bicycle? I'm bicycle my ass across the country. Like, during that time, I'm not supposed to eat. And then I don't have a camera crew and I don't have insurance. Like, there's so many things that go into this shit. That's why making a movie is expensive. So then we wind up 2 weeks before I'm supposed to drive across the country to Fresno, where the production studio was. COVID hit. And like, that little thing that didn't affect anyone's lives at all. So COVID fucking hit. And I was like, fuck. And that put us back a year and a half because restrictions were so tough. And of course, when COVID first started, people were really terrified. If people don't remember that very first like instance where they were like showing those videos from like Chinese hospitals and shit, it was really fucking scary when it first hit. And so we didn't know what it was going to be at the time. And then restrictions were so tough for filming. They were tough everywhere. All these martial arts studios, and it's a film about martial arts. All these studios were closed. How are we supposed to film? So restrictions eased up about a year and a half in. We were able to go and we were able to film for 30 days. Then after that, we edited for another 2 months. So that was what our budget allotted. But now by this time, we're over 3 years in. And people were still being assholes. They're like, where's the documentary? Like, you mean from the lockdown area we are in our homes? Like, I swear to God, a tsunami could come. A fucking nuclear bomb could have hit. And everyone could be dead. And there'd be one asshole online. Where's the documentary at? Like, bitch, we're all dead. What are you talking about? So anyway, we wind up doing that. And then my team was putting together a trailer. But again, we only had so much money. So my team was doing their day jobs and trying to edit this footage at the same time. So it takes a while to get that. So about 3 or 4 months later, I wind up getting our first rendition of the trailer. And I was like, this is bad. I was like, this is really bad. I was like, I love the subject matter. This is what I do for a living, and no one's going to watch this shitty movie. So then after that, it was like a couple months of that. And then it was like, let me reach out to a buddy. So there's a friend of mine. His name's Jonathan Sadowski. Jonathan Sadowski is like an actor, producer, director. So he got me in touch with a guy named Adam Wood. Adam Wood was able to, he's an Emmy Award winning editor, a fantastic director. He comes on board. He edited the trailer. The trailer is phenomenal, which I'll send you a cut of that, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah. So he sends this trailer. I was like, oh shit, this is really good. I'm pumped for this. And so based off of that, we had a conversation. He was like, look, what you have right now is good. He was like, but what you really need is a real budget and like really put some effort and time into this and you'll have something really good. Don't settle for what you have. And I was like, bet I'm not going to settle. So we then go back to the drawing board. And then for the next couple of years, we're not crowdfunding anymore. We're taking what we did with the sizzle reel. So the crowdfunding money helped us make a sizzle. That sizzle then allowed us to go to real true investors. And it was rough, man. Like trying to get people, especially in the way that the film industry is now, to invest in a film is like pulling teeth. But then we got Jocko on board. Jocko, I hit him up and I was like, hey man, we have this film project. Here's a sizzle reel. And based off of that, he's like, we'll have a meeting. He said it was going to be 30 minutes and wind up being like 2.5 hours. And which is great, especially for how much time he doesn't have. So then after that, shook my hand. He was like, I'll be a part of this. He goes, I can't fund it all, but I'll help. And so shook my hand. And then he was like, you can use my name. He was very cool about that. He's like, you can call me an executive producer now. All that shit. We went ahead and did it. Redid our pitch deck, redid all that. And then like we had a company come in. They were like, we're going to fund the whole thing. They were like, but they tried to like scam my company. Like they wanted to fire my entire team. They wanted to change the creative. They wanted full business control, full creative control, and none of us were going to be in the film. and they were still going to use the name, and I still would have had to go out and sell this fucking thing. And they wanted to make it about politics. I was like, no, absolutely not. But when you're staring down the barrel at the time of a $783,000 budget, they were going to give me $80,000 for the film, like to be in the film and be a part of it. And then they were going to sideline my team. My team would have still gotten paid, but they would have not been really a part of it at all. And I was like, no. Like, they wanted to fire my director. I was like, you're not going to fire my director. You want to fire my entertainment lawyer? No, you can't fire him. Then they were like, they wanted full business creative control and final cut. No, not going to give you that either. But then they tried to bribe me with an extra $80,000. And after they sold the movie, by the way, I would have made a third of whatever that was. So I kind of turned down, like, I mean, potentially over $500,000 because I wanted to keep my team. And so I made my team part owners of the intellectual property, so they cannot be fired. And then we kept negotiating. After a year, I was like, fuck this, man. We're done. Like, this isn't going to happen. I understand. And by the way, turning down $500,000 when you're going through a lawsuit and broke is very hard, like very hard. I was like, I couldn't live with myself. So I was like, fuck that. We're not going to do it. So then now here we are, off to the races. We just filmed. We have of the new footage. We are 6 days in. We have 6 days in the can. We have another 24 days coming up. We have great footage. We have likeness rights to so many frauds. Like, I can't wait for people to actually see what we're doing because, one, there's never been a documentary about the subject matter. And two, the way that we're doing it is not talking head. It's not people sitting in a chair. This is my experience. It's literally investigative journalism. We're traveling. Like, we just drove up to the state mental hospital to interview a very famous fraud. We might need to interview him again, so I'm leaving his name out of it for now. We interviewed several victims of martial arts cults and frauds, and now we're going to be confronting some frauds. The guy who sued me, I went through a lawsuit for 2 years because there was a guy who hired a registered sex offender to teach his kids' classes. I did a story about that, and he sued me for defamation. I wind up winning. Now I'm countersuing his ass for frivolous litigation, and all of that will be on camera. I actually went during filming just now, like 2 days ago, up to Bakersfield to confront him at his dojo, but his dojo's closed. So now we're going to have to do it again. We're just going to have to bring him to us. So it's going to be an adventure. Everybody gets to enjoy.
That's incredible. Like, especially turning down all that for your people. That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, I will never sell them out. I don't give a fuck. Like, if they were willing to stick with me for 6 years of like not getting paid, going to these meetings, hearing as many no's as I've heard, and still having the same resolve I do of we're not stopping. I gave people my word this would get done, and that shit will get done. Now, it might not be done quick, but it will be done right. And the fact that they have my back means that I have to have theirs. And now that we have developed that 6 years of trust, I'm not getting rid of that. I'm not going to let them be hung out to dry because I want some money. Money, again, I don't make a lot of money doing this, but I hope that if I have integrity in this job and I'm able to move forward and do it the right way and not sell anyone out and not really harm any of my people on the way and do it right, hopefully I'll have longevity doing this. Hopefully the doc turns into a show and that show winds up running for a while. And then we, even if it's just a season, the ride continues for a little while longer, but I'll be damned if these people who stood up for me when I needed them to, I'm not going to turn my back on them. That's not going to happen.
So, for the people out there that might be looking for a martial arts academy to join, or parents looking for places to put their kids, what are some red flags to watch out for?
I mean, this is always an interesting question. Over the years of running a martial arts studio and working in the martial arts industry and doing McDojo Life, like, some of them seem obvious to me, but I can understand how they're not obvious to others. So, like, the first red flag to me is when you first walk into the gym, before you even walk into the gym, the first question you should ask is, do you guys do background checks on your employees and volunteers? And if they say no, do not walk into that gym. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. It's a fucking hobby. Let's be honest. You're going to spend the majority of your life not fist fighting people in the street, not defending yourself for your life. You're going to spend the majority of your time training for those things. So shouldn't you be safe in that environment? And step one is asking if they have background checks. And if they don't, walk out, don't go. Like, it's not worth it. Like, you could be hurt the first day you show up. You could be molested the first day you show up. You could be defrauded the first day you show up. And all of that is usually based off of background of criminal history. Ask just, hey, do you guys do background checks? And is that available? And if they say no, fuck off, move on to somebody else who does. That's step number one. I'd say step number two is when you get there, pay attention to how everyone else is treated. Like, because of course they're going to treat you the best on your first day. They want you to sign up. And there's nothing wrong with that. I understand that. That's just how we naturally do. We want to make a good impression. But if you looked and other people are complaining, other people are ignored, other people are being hurt, other people are being treated like shit, the moment you sign up with that gym, that's going to be you. So, yes, they're going to treat you well on your first day. And if you get a bad impression your first day of how they treat you, of course, you're not going to do it. But you might have a great impression. But did you pay attention to how everyone else was treated? That's going to be you after you sign up. So that's the biggest red flag to me is how everyone else is treated. They're treated like shit. The moment you sign up, that's going to be you. And is that the environment you want for yourself? You know, those are the two big ones for me.
I mean, it makes sense. It really does. I've had my inbox blown up with people wanting to be on the podcast, and some of the things I watch out for, obviously, is like the no touch stuff. And if they made their own martial arts, I'm like,
Yeah, that's a big one. If somebody just created their own art, obviously, it's not always the case. Chuck Norris created his own art, but that's legitimate. And Eddie Bravo created his own art. That's legitimate. But, those are tried and true battle tested things. Those aren't just like, hey, this sounds good. Yeah, but yeah, I understand that for sure.
So what's one message that you would like every martial artist listening, regardless of style, to remember?
Yeah, just remember why you're doing it. You're not doing it for everybody else, I hope. And if you do, I'm sorry. That seems sad to me. Like, why are you doing this? And if you're doing it because you like it, stick with that. You should not be held to anybody else's standard but your own. I had this thing happen to me. I got my second stripe on my purple belt, which has been fucking forever now because I don't stay at the same gym anymore. So I'm like traveling and never getting promoted again. I'll be a purple belt until I die. But when I got my second stripe on my purple belt, my instructor saw that I was upset. And I was visibly like not happy I received it because I didn't feel I earned it. I didn't feel like I was training enough. I didn't feel my skill level was where I needed it to be. I'm very self-deprecating when it comes to my training. I like have a very high standard for myself. And if I don't do it where I'm proud, like I feel like I failed myself. And I feel like I failed the industry in a way. Like I need to, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it. And I didn't feel like I earned it. So my instructor pulled me to the side afterwards and he goes, "Why are you mad?" I was like, "I'm not going to lie. Like, I just don't feel like I earned this. I don't feel like I deserve it." And he's like, "Let me ask you a question." He goes, "Can you kick your own ass?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "If you were in a time machine and you went back and you met you who first walked through this door, could you fuck him up?" And I was like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm beating the fuck out of that guy." He goes, "Then you earned it." He goes, "You're trying to compare yourself to other people." He goes, "You need to pay attention to what you are compared to you yesterday. And if you're getting better than you were yesterday, even if it's just by one class, even if it's just by one technique, even if it's just by one defense, you're better than you were. You are developing. So like stop looking at other people as your standard and start looking at you as your standard. Who were you yesterday and are you better than that person?" And I was like, that's fair. And so from then on out, and I'm over a decade into my fucking career at that point, and I'd never really looked at it that way. And I was like, I think I do hold myself to other people's standards, and I need to change that mentality. And I think we as martial artists, we hear a lot of white noise of other people. You have to do this, or you have to be this, or this isn't legitimate unless it's this. Look, my standards of legitimate aren't that difficult. Don't rape, defraud, and harm people on purpose. Like, that's not hard. Like, be honest. None of that has to do with your skill level. None of that has to do with your art. None of that has to do with your style. None of that is in the rule set that we put forward or that was put forward for McDojo Life. And there's a reason for that. You want to do a keto? Have at it. Do you like it? Yes. Does it benefit your life? Do it. That's all that matters. Do you like it? Is it benefiting you? And I think that if people hold themselves to their own standards, that's all that matters. Do it. Have fun. And fuck what anybody else has to say about it.
So, do you plan on going on the Joe Rogan show anytime soon, or?
I I don't know if that will ever happen. Like the funny part about Rogan is he does keep a barricade or a barrier, and which is understandable. I mean, fuck, he's one of the most famous human beings on the goddamn planet. But I don't know if that will ever happen. If it does happen, fucking cool. Like, fucking cool. I got out of this what I needed out of it already. My thing is after he's done so much for me, he really has. I mean, he's just been a good human being to me. Like anytime I hit him up, I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to be in your area. I want to catch a show or whatever." He just gives me tickets if I want to go. He hooked me up on my birthday with like the Izzy Adesanya versus Kevin Gastelum fight, which is like the fight of the year, one of the greatest fights I'd ever seen. I was able to be there the day after my birthday just because he gave me tickets. I was in the third row.
It's
Like,
awesome.
I saw it. It was right there. Like, it was the most incredible fucking fight I'd ever seen live, other than Royval versus Van. But like, it was an incredible fucking fight. And I was just blown away by the fact that he was just so kind to do that. He wanted nothing. He asked me for nothing. He never asked me for anything. And just for him to do that as a gift it's meant the fucking world to me, especially after, giving me a much larger platform by even talking about what I do. I only wanted to shake his hand and say thank you. And I was able to do that at ADCC when I was at the T-Mobile Arena. He walked by. I walked up and said, "Hey, man, I run McDojo Life. I just want to say thank you for what you've done for me." He shook my hand, and that was literally the end of the conversation. There wasn't anything else to it. It was just me saying thank you. And that's all I needed out of this. And now I've done that. And that if I wind up being on the show, fucking great. Maybe that's a possibility. I mean, Jocko Willink is an executive producer of my goddamn movie. So I'm sure that he wants Jocko to make his money back. I'm sure he wants to, hopefully the movie's good enough to warrant being able to be on the show. But I feel if I get on that show, it's because I fucking earned it. And not because, I feel like it's because I did honest work. I worked hard. I made a difference. And that winds up being something that's worthy of a conversation. I can't wait to do that one day. And I hope that I can. But in my career, I've accomplished almost everything I've really wanted to do in my career. I mean, those are the only two bucket list items that I have left. Being on his show one day, and I wanted to be on the cover of Black Belt magazine since I was a child. And now Black Belt magazine isn't in print anymore. But because of the documentary, we might be able to negotiate them having a special edition just for the movie, which would be great. That is in print. And I'm in negotiation right now with the Art of Self-Defense, which is like one of the Deadly Art of Survival.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the Deadly Art of Survival is printed. It is one of the last printed martial arts magazines in existence, which makes it the best one, the only one. And we're in negotiation to have an entire print magazine just about the documentary. So like that, that's cool to me. I've never been on the cover of these motherfuckers. I've been on tons of magazines, but I've never been on the cover. Like that in my career would be amazing, especially in the age of digital. So if I do those two things, man, I'm good. Like I don't need to do shit else. Like I accomplished my shit.
Have you ever talked to Alan Woodman from International Martial Arts Magazine? Because he might put you on.
I'd be happy to talk to him. I didn't know there was another print.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I'd be happy to have that conversation.
I had him on the podcast last week, and I could reach out to him for you if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love to have that conversation. I mean, there's just something different. Like I know that people talk about nostalgia, and like nostalgia is like the remembrance of something that might not have been what you really feel that it was. But there is something different about tangible print.
Yeah, yeah.
You're getting a hold of it and opening it and feeling the page, and like walking past an aisle when I was a kid and seeing magazines, and on the cover were all of these people who had done all of these amazing things in their specific, careers. And I was just like, one day, man, I want to do that. I did this, it's a karate thing, but it was important to me. There was this thing called the Martial Arts Super Show. And back in the day, the Martial Arts Super Show was like a convention where all of these different famous martial artists would go. They would teach seminars and they would talk and give lectures. And I was like, one day I want to speak at that, because to me as a kid, those were the cream of the crop at the time. And I was actually able to do that the last year they had it. It was the last year I was a speaker there, and I had a packed house. It was a standing room only thing too. And I was like, this is fucking awesome that I got the chance as a 12-year-old reading Century Martial Arts Magazine, which is a gear company. Like, but reading those articles and being like, one day I'm gonna be in this magazine. And I was. And being like, one day I'm gonna speak at this conference. And I did, and so I think when you have goals like that, especially as a kid, it's so important to just keep going. Like, you don't get there because it was given to you. You get there because you fucking worked hard for it. And those are markers for me. And it's, obviously it makes my ego feel good when I walk into my office and I see it framed, but it wasn't about that. It was about setting a goal and reaching the goal. And, those are two goals for me. And maybe one day I'll get lucky enough, you know. Hopefully I don't get fucking shot or killed by one of these fucking psychos I call out before I get the chance, you know?
Yeah, I've heard you talk about getting death threats and stuff like that. How's that been? Have you gotten any more, or is it slowed down?
You know, it's funny. As the page has gotten bigger, I get less of those, and I think it's because the page is bigger. Like people don't like, and I think people have seen like when I have the saying, and I say it often. I'll burn the house down with me in it, and I fucking mean that shit. So when people come after me, like you are more than welcome to do so. Like I'm not saying I'm some badass. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest fighter in the world because I'm not. I'm not saying anything other than you have to, if you want to go toe to toe, just understand I am willing to play to the bone. If you sue me, have at it, but understand that I ain't going to quit. Like I've had so many cease and desist letters. I literally wiped my ass with a cease and desist letter on one of my videos. That's not an exaggeration. I physically wiped my ass with their cease and desist. Then I took that cease and desist, I crumbled it up, I threw it in a trash can, then I pissed on it, and then I set it on fire. Like that's all on video. Why? Because you can't intimidate me that way. I'm an investigative journalist. You can't tell me to just shut up because you did the wrong thing. You can't get me to shut up because you tried to sue me to get me to shut up. Like that lawsuit cost me $100,000. That was supposed to go towards the headquarters. I was willing to sacrifice that to draw a line in the sand and be like, if you want to fucking go, I hope you lawyer up. I have plenty of suits. And now with our documentary, I have plenty of lawyers. I have some of the best litigation attorneys on the planet who now insulate me from that shit. And I do my job with integrity. If you want to go after me because I did the right thing and you did the wrong thing, then you better fucking buckle up, Buttercup, because I will go toe to toe with you all goddamn day. And I have plenty of suits for every day of the week. I'll see you in court every goddamn day with a smile on my face, knowing that I did the right thing, you did the wrong thing, and you will lose. And, right now, it's just the death threats aren't as much as they used to. I haven't had a cease and desist in a while, but I think it's because, like, anytime those things have come up, I don't shy away from them. I have a bulletproof vest. It's a sleeve in my backpack. I take it everywhere I go. I don't fuck around with that shit. I know some of these are credible, and that's okay. When you're dealing with cults, you have to deal with the cult follower, and the cult follower is usually crazier than the cult leader. And so those people are thinking you're harming their integrity. You're harming their support structure. You're harming everything that makes them who they are. And whether that's a good thing or bad thing to them, they don't care. They just care that you're the bad guy. Even if they're instructor, like I did this video about a guy named Edon Abelnet, who was caught dead to rights, defrauding people, stealing people's money, caught dead to rights. He shot a student doing gun disarms with live ammunition. He almost killed the guy being negligent. And people came out of the woodwork to threaten me because I did a story about him. And the cognitive dissonance is crazy. Like, look, are you okay with this guy stealing from people? Are you okay with this guy shooting a student doing gun disarms? They're like, well, he doesn't do that anymore. I'm like, here's a video of him still doing that. It's just a part of the job. And like, I understand that's a part of the job. I didn't think that was going to be a part of the job when I started, but I started this. I'm not going to stop until I get something changed. And maybe that's legislation for background checks for martial arts instructors. Maybe that's Academy Safe becoming that third party that winds up becoming the standard. I don't know. I just know that there are people being harmed, and we can stop it if we just fucking try. And who knows? Maybe I fail. Maybe I did all of this for the last 29 years of my life, 13 years doing McDojo Life, and I get all the way to the finish line, and I did nothing. I can be okay with that because I tried, but I can't be okay with that if I did.
I remember it's been a couple years, but you also got money back from people that were defrauded.
Yeah. Like Endo Athletics, which by the way is still fucking around. That guy is still around. DJ Mackey, I think is his name. So like that dude was defrauding people for years. I mean, years. You can go on the Better Business Bureau and see like it's like an F on his company because ultimately people were buying rash guards and gis, which, you buy a rash guard for 30, 40 bucks, whatever the case is. You buy a gi for like 100 and something bucks and he doesn't send it. It costs you more money to hunt him down in court. So like, that's where I come in because those people don't want to go to court over a gi, but he does this to hundreds of people. He's stolen thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars from people. And every time he gets farther down the road, he winds up popping up and he just changes the name of the company. He's doing company tectonics. And now that company is a different name. He still runs a martial arts studio. He defrauded people there. He still runs a promotion He defrauded people there. He's still, and I've done this story. Why did I never get sued for doing the story about him? Because it's fucking true. Like, you can't sue me for some shit that's true. And I remember contacting him and being like, look, I have screenshots of a lot of people who have contacted me showing me without a doubt proof that you took their money, never sent them their stuff, and then immediately blocked them when they confronted you over months, sometimes years. Pay them their fucking money back. Like, I'm doing a story about this. So you can either be on the better side of this by actually helping, or you could be, and then it wound up being this, like, it took like, fucking maybe it was even 8 months of me contacting this dude and being like, here's another person, here's another person, here's another person. And then I was the middleman. I was like, dude, you know who you've defrauded. You know, why don't you just fucking give them their money back? And we were able to get a lot of money back to a lot of people. And I did it one at a time, excruciatingly painfully slow. Somebody contact me, contact him. They get their money back. They contact me. But he didn't do it on his own accord. He did it because he thought those were the only people I'd catch. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you. We're not doing this shit anymore. I'm doing the goddamn story. So after, like, I don't know, maybe it was even 8 months of this back and forth shit, getting people their money back, I was like, look, people just need to know you're a piece of shit. And he is. He's a huge piece of shit. Fuck him. Like, I'm amazed that anybody does business with this complete cunt of a human being. Jesus Christ. Like, I just look at some of these people. I'm like, how do you exist? How do you fucking sleep with yourself at night? How do you not wake up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and go, that guy's a piece of shit, and then move on with your day? That blows my mind. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to help those people. Those people were very grateful to get their money back. Some people, I think it was like, there were people, I think one stood out to me. I think it was over 8 years. This person had never received their money and never received their item. And because I contacted them, they got their money back. And like, those are victories, man. Those are victories. I don't always win, but like, those are victories. They feel good.
Absolutely. So has George Dillman ever reached out to you?
Dillman. No. So Dillman did like an interview on National Geographic, I think, back in the day.
Yeah.
And when he did that, he did the interview, and then he put one of his students out there for the fodder, a guy named Leon J. And he was Wally J's son. And Wally J was a respected martial artist. But Leon J is a crazy person. So he does this interview, and he's showing all this no-touch knockout stuff on the interview and stuff. But then when it came time for him to be asked to do it, he doesn't do it. He sends out Leon J to do it. And clearly it doesn't fucking work because it's nonsensical. And then, well, if you didn't, you can't be knocked out if your tongue's in the wrong place, your big toe, or, your fingers in your butthole, or whatever he said. And so he refuses to do interviews after that. So I'm hoping it'd be nice, at least for the documentary's sake, to try to hunt that man down. And I know where he's at. I know how to contact him, all that good stuff. We're just kind of like seeing where things go. I would love if his last true interview was with us, and I'd love for him to atone for his bullshit, but chances are good he's not going to. Chances are good he truly believes it. I think there's a delusion to him that might be ingrained at this point, and he's very old now, so he probably doesn't have much time left, but I'd like to be that last interview and not just confront him, but like any of these people, the goal isn't to just make fun of them. The goal is for them to atone. If you look, man, like, especially with like people like James Heydrich, he's in a state mental hospital. And, the last interview that was done with him, he seemed to genuinely want to atone for the bad that he had done. But half that battle is you have to admit to the evil that you've done. You can't just be like, well, I did some bad stuff and it wasn't good and I don't feel good about that. No, you need to be specific, because there are people there who had to pay the price for your fraud. And so I would hope that Dillman would do the same, but I don't know if that's not just extreme delusion. He might have told those lies so long that he truly just believes them. But, it's never just to poke fun at people. It's to make an actual change. So we'll see. I mean, if I get lucky, that's the white whale of frauds right there, man. That's my Moby Dick to me being Ahab.
Absolutely. Well, Rob, thanks for everything you've done for the martial arts community, holding people accountable and making it safer for the next generation. I really do appreciate you coming on, man. It's been an honor.
Yeah, man, I love talking shop. This is fun. This is like my favorite shit. Like, it's the weirdest job I've ever had in my life, and it'd probably be the job that I have for the rest of my life. And I kind of stumbled into it. I didn't know this was going to be a career. I thought it was going to be a hobby. And then there's just so many people who need help. It was like, I mean, I have stacks of papers and stacks of like problems. And, I just can't, I'm only one person, so I get it to them one at a time, but I do get to them. It just, it just takes time. So hopefully by the end of this movie, I'll have a team. And then, if it really goes the way that I think it could go, then the movie turns into a show. And if it turns into a show, we'll have basically the equivalent of like how Catfish works. And I'll have people send stuff in. I have producers and a team. I'll be like, hey, you guys do all of this research. This is the one that I want to do. Then we help that person. And we just keep doing it like a conga line. And then if that's the case, man, that's real lasting change. My goal is to put myself out of business. If I put McDojo Life out of business, that would be fucking great. Because then I can just open a bar at the beach and go dick off and just like do nothing. That'd be great. That's what I want to do.
I get that. I wish I would have had my McDojo Life hat for the episode, but I left it at the dojo.
That's okay, man. I appreciate you taking the time to read the book.
But yeah,
I appreciate the time, just to have me on to chit chat. All of that means a lot.
if you don't mind, because like I said, I interview martial artists from like all over the world, all walks of life. If you don't mind, whenever this airs, can you please share it on your platform?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah, just like, obviously it just depends on how things are edited and put together, but I don't mind sharing it all, especially on YouTube. Like YouTube now allows you to collaborate and stuff, which is really cool. So all I have to do is hit a button. It goes right to a collaborative thing. I'm happy to help out.
Yeah.
So, and if, I'm happy to share.
So I don't really edit anything. Everything that we talk about is just talked. Now, like it's ran through a software. So like this right now will probably get edited out, but it's AI. So sometimes the breaks, it'll cut out the breaks. But other than that, everything's just the way it is.
Yeah, for sure. And no matter what, like I'll make sure that it gets shared out.
Awesome.
So yeah, like I said, I appreciate the support. Like I gave myself 2 rules when I started this shit years ago, which was I'd answer every direct message I was ever sent, which by the way is goddamn near impossible to do now, but I try. And then I'd be on any show that anybody who ever asked me, ever. I always would. I don't give a fuck. I am not that important in my mind. I'm just some dude. So if anybody wants to talk to me, I'm ready to have that conversation.
All right, man. Like I said, I'm going to reach out to Alan Woodman, and I'll try to put you in contact with him, but I'm pretty sure he would get you in the magazine. He put an ad out for me, so I'm pretty sure he would.
Hell yeah. But like you see my wall, like
Yeah.
most of this stuff is like, so my half sumo stuff is just because he's a buddy. But like, if I had magazine there instead, I would just move those and put a magazine there instead. Like the goal is to have this as like a little mosaic wall of work that I've done over the years. So
like, have you ever read Sidekick magazine? It was a magazine back in the day. Okay. Well, he had that one before he has the one now.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah. Like I love print. Print is so important to me. I fucking love print.
All right, man. Well, like I said, thanks for being on. Hopefully in the future, if this, like maybe we can do it again sometime.
Happy to.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right, well. Later.
Later.